Hey y'all, I'm back with the other video that went with the other video number 2, Chicago. And I wanted to share the National Council Board of Nursing headquarters in Illinois and my stay. I got some swag. It was cool. And what the heck I was up to out there. I don't know, this lighting is weird. Oh, by the way, I don't smoke. I don't smoke. This is my daughter's hat. She's away. And it's piss and rain. It's Washington. And it got in my, what's that area called right there? Crown. So I'm trying to flatten it. So I grabbed one of her hats. So don't mind me. They gave us some swag. Not very much, but a little bit. So I thought I'd wait for you guys to open it up. Even though I opened it up on the plane. Let's see what we got from the National Council. Nurses, all you new nurses, you can verify through Nurses so that it's on one platform. You can just bring it up. This looks like the biggest bookmarker I've ever seen in my life. Look at that. Bam. I love bookmarkers. I used to go to Barnes and Noble. I love Barnes and Noble. I think they're gone, but I love that bookstore, and get really nice journals. And I bought a really beautiful leather, old world Italian leather journal from there 20 something years ago in anticipation of journaling my daughter's the gestation and the pregnancy and then a few years after, and I sure did. And then I just recently handed it over to her. All the goods, the mediums, and the bads. Anyway, that's that. But that's kind of a yucky bookmark. I don't know what they were thinking. Just feeler. This is cool. I read this on the plane. This is the Journal of Nursing Regulation, Advanced Nursing Excellence for Public Protection. Written, and it's peer reviewed. So this is like, when something is peer reviewed, that's a big deal. So I read a few of the awesome articles in there. And my name and place card setting. That's nice, because we had a bunch of what they call us, jurors sitting around a big, gorgeous oak table. And then, let's see here. Oh, it's a baggie. You know what I was hoping? I was hoping to get, I'm kind of close, aren't I? Some swag to put on the body. Oh, that's cute. At least it's Washington State proof. And then this, oh, there's something else in here, is that's gotta be hand sanitizer, right? Yeah, that's what smells. Oh, it's squirt hand sanitizer. Let's try it out. Make sure it's the right way. No, it's no scent. That's hand sanitizer. Okay, but it's not refillable, so when it's gone, it's gone. But I like how it's flat, because the scrub pockets, it'll slip in there good. And this is cute. I'm going to keep this for a long time until it busts apart. I use these file things for all sorts of stuff. My bills get out of hand, and then I like this. It's already cracking. So that's what they gave us. But you know what they need to give us is a t-shirt, sweatshirt, shorts, skirt, scarf. I'm going to say that. I'm going to suggest that. So that was a fabulous trip, except for my hurt back. And I wanted to talk about why I was there. And I put together that video long. It's my first iMovie. I know it kind of sucked. The learning curve is real. Sorry about that. And I'm going to do it one more time because I've got some more footage of when I was there. Oops, see there? Okay. The National Council are the ones that write the NCLEX. They're the ones that write it and put it out for us to pass it, for you guys, for us to pass or fail or whatever. And guess who writes that? Guess who writes? Higher up in the industry, MSN, BSN, nurses and others that are skilled in their profession. Okay, so there's item writers, reviewers, and then standard setting. There's 3 different categories per each nursing situation that they've got going on. So for RNs, they have a set. For LPNs, they have a set. And they also do MACE, which is what I just did. Not the CNAs. They do not handle CNAs. That's the I always want to say NAACP, but it's the NAPS. The other guys. It sounds like that. But you know what I mean? They don't do the CNAs. That belongs to somewhere else. But they do the MACE, the Medication AIDS Certification Examination. And it is national. You know what I found out there though? I was working with it was really cool. I was the only CNA. I was the only CNA. I was the only med tech. There was one young lady that at the last minute, day of, not even the day before, we found out, she emailed and said, sorry guys, I'm not going to make it. And she came from, I don't know where she came from, but she just couldn't make it. So she was the only CNA, and we could read through the names of each other's names. We couldn't walk away with stuff, and we couldn't take pictures. They were pretty careful because this is serious stuff. They had us in a circle. I'm going to put a picture up. I haven't figured out how to do insert yet, but it'll be somewhere. They had us in a circle, and then behind us, all the way around the room, were other people just looking at us. It was chill. It was wonderful. It was high end, but it seemed like they were just making sure we weren't taking our phone out or looking under the table or doing any kind of nonsense. So it was very professional and taken care of. And jurors, they called us jurors. Okay. So everybody came from all over the world. So that young lady bounced out. She couldn't make it. Something happened. And so it was just me, and I was working, rubbing elbows with, and I didn't know, when we first met, we all came down in the room, in the lobby from our rooms at 8 a.m. and hung out and got to know each other, and I was on time, and we had a couple leaders, and we were told we were going to walk to the headquarters, which in my mind, I was thinking, geez, this is going to be a painful walk. And breezy, Chicago was windy, and my back I was in debilitating pain, okay? But I wasn't going to miss it. I do remember them saying it's a short walk from our hotel to the headquarters. So I thought, okay, but still, it was short. It was within 1 block. So we met each other. I didn't realize it was going to be such a cozy boutique type group, but there were 8 of us, and then 8 stationary core people, and then 2 or 3 rotating people. So 20 at any given moment, but there's only 8 of us pulled from different parts of the country. As far as the P&W, there was myself, and there was a nurse that is from Eastern Washington here. Everybody else was from completely different places, like East Coast, a lot from the South, Mississippi, Dallas, this, that, and the third. There's accents, which was really cool. Every single one of them were BSN nurses, at least. I was like, what? I didn't know. In the lobby, I was like, wow. I felt all of a sudden like fancy. I'm like, okay. I knew I didn't wear jeans. Wow, these medication aids are looking pretty good lately. They're getting older. They're getting older and they're looking, I felt proud. They didn't have how can I say this? How can I say this? I just got to say it because my mind isn't clicking. I just kind of woke up and I needed to get this video out. The lower we get in education, maybe the less classy. I'm saying that while I'm wearing this hat. But look, it's so puffy. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna get in the tub. All right, I'll just let it be. Eloquent, more slang or ghetto, or I don't know. I didn't know what to expect from a bunch of CNAs, but I knew that if the National Council went through however they did to find me, they had to have done some checking up. And you're not just gonna get. Just think of the most ghettoest or trashiest person. This is outside of race, anything at your establishment, and then think of maybe the classiest or somewhere in between and just go, how? Okay. Not saying that I'm definitely not, but I know how to walk. When getting there, I was pleasantly surprised by my peers. And all of a sudden, again, I was validated and feeling, oh, wow, what a nice, okay, I'm so glad I'm going to do this. That was when we just met downstairs from our lobby in the respective place. And we did our walk. And I, this time was the slowest walking person, kind of a limp. And the leader kept looking back. Okay, but they knew it this time. I stepped to the ice bar and got to the coffee bar and got ice for my sciatica. Get upstairs, guards, everything, beautiful building, 30-something floor. Oh my goodness, the view. I'm not used to that. The view in downtown Chicago in the Gold Coast part was, I like trees and views, mountains, but I can appreciate cityscapes too. Absolutely. And then the river down there, the bridges, the Trump Tower was gorgeous. CNBC, to the Tip Top Tap Room. I had to look that up. That was gorgeous. Oh my freaking word. Just jaw-dropping. Beautiful. Sit down, and I'm still looking at all these mature, beautiful gray-haired ladies and suits, and I'm like, wow, I just threw on this little dress here, and my nails didn't look as tore up as now because it was a week ago, but yeah. Coming to find out, by the time we introduced ourselves around the room and they put us in front of these binders that we couldn't move, they had to stay there, but they were for our use while we were there. And it was an introductory. It told us about the lay of the land. It told us what was expected, not expected, about being served breakfast and lunch, about our number of breaks and using the restroom, and lordy, some definitions, safety precautions, a bit of history, and how we were selected, what they expected. Just housekeeping. That's what it was called, the housekeeping. And the beginning of the housekeeping was the meet and greet. Luckily, I have a skill set in sitting still for hours. No lie. Some people need to always be going, and it has nothing to do with ADHD, but they just got to be moving. And they can't sit still too long. I literally am a professional skill setter, can sit still for hours. And it comes from my upbringing. I am a third generation JW. So if you guys know anything about that, we sit in our meetings for hours. We don't get up and groove. Working in the entertainment exotic industry, even you're getting up and moving, but there's lots of time you're sitting on your bum waiting for something for hours in school. However, in nursing and healthcare, we're on our feet a long time. However, when we're sitters, we're sitting for hours. You get up a little bit, take care of it. You're in that one room and you sit. Ain't no thing. If I don't have to use the restroom, I will sit 6 to 12 hours away. Once in a while. Okay. 4 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, I can sit and then get up. Let's be real. Let's not push it. I can't sit for 6 to 12 hours. Anyway, so sitting in that room was good for me because my back, and I was able to put it up and kept it on ice, and we just talked for hours. We were there. It was a full-time job from 8, but at the same time, I would never want a desk job where you have to sit day after day. That would be maddening for me. They make all that money coding or whatever kind of desk job. It drives me crazy. I need to be able to be autonomous. But when the time comes, I can sit. I can watch 2 movies back to back like it's nobody's business. Working on my feet so much. Dance goes now, pleasers back in the day, that when my day comes and I'm off, I will sit in that tub for an hour, or I'll sit in the bed for a couple hours, or I'll sit on the couch and I'm good. We sat in the table and we were there at 8 a.m. and we were released at 4 one day, 5 another. That's cool. They got up and took lots of breaks. I did not. It just made me feel better to stretch my leg out. When we did the meet and greet and go around the room, everybody, the people that were invited there from across the country, as well as the ones that actually were core staff and worked there, psychoanalysts and stuff like that. Psychoanalysts. I met the director of, there's a better name, but she's the director, Nursing, National Council. She's a beautiful, her name's Nicole. Hi, Nicole. She'll never see this. Beautiful, doesn't even matter, beautiful Black woman. And it made me feel so, so good that the National Board of Nursing, every state has a Board of Nursing, every single one. But the national one is the one in Chicago, right? And they work with these other ones and collaborate and help them keep their S together. And in that headquarters, everybody's represented. It's not strictly it's one type. So a Black woman, and our main guy was fabulous. Loved him, Jose. Flight attendant. So I reckon I am also a former flight attendant for Delta. He was for United Airlines, so there was that. We had that going for us. And then nurse. And then there's a good story about that too. And then psychoanalysts, and then marketers, and then this and that and the other. So all of them, and some of them have been there for 10 years, 5 years, to 2 months, to last week or something like that. And then us that flew in. You know what's cool that I thought of is in the age of what's that platform we can get job interviews from? You get a full job interview. Zoom. In the age of Zoom, the fact that the NCSBN sought after, initiated, and paid for almost a dozen of us to come out and be there and rub elbows in person, where they could have done the exact same thing and saved a boatload of money and had us all clock in from across the country, giving us our link code. Wow, that is good for them. Good for them. That's great. They paid all this money. But there's a reason, right? Because it goes back to being, it could have been proctored. somehow with the camera. I don't know, maybe that would have been too much. I don't know, maybe that's where they're going to go. I like old school, old fashioned. I'm not, when the pandemic broke down and things were online, it's kind of cool, but I really don't. I always, would you rather go online to school or would you rather go in person or mix? I'm always the mix. Give me the mix. Or brick and mortar. I need to touch. And that's crazy. I mean, I maybe because I'm older, right? In my prime, that's what we're used to. But the fact that they did that, great hotel, and they put us right next to them. So we go around the table and introduce ourselves. Okay, I was judge number 7 out of 8, and 8 out of 9. Out of 9. Judge 7, which is 7, out of 9, which is 9, and 9 didn't show up, so there were a solid 8. I wanted to be 8. I like that number. There were a solid 8 of us, like I said earlier. However, they went around the table and we were scattered, kind of whatever. They had our place cards down and you sit down where we're supposed to be, and it was cool. Listening to where these young ladies, women came from. There's no men on the panel. It was great. And the ages, nobody was a baby. We had one younger woman there that was working on her 7th pregnancy. That was fun. Big old baby. And 2 women actually brought their partners, and they took advantage there while we were working. The partners, the men, did whatever, not together, but they took advantage of Chicago. One of them went to Wrigley Field. Good for him. And then the boat ride. I didn't get to do any of that because I couldn't. I just couldn't. I was laid up. When I heard, that, and you can see while you're reading around, everybody's a registered nurse. Like, and not everybody was on the floor. Couple of them were, but some of them were, nurses work everywhere. It's we remember, but it's easy to forget how vast scope nursing is. You don't have to be bedside. You don't have to be even a supervisor near the bedsides. You don't have to be charge. Don't even have to be there. There was one that was happy. There's 2 that were when we go and get our CNA. You guys, you remember that? Back in the day, I don't know how the CNA, what it's like now. I heard it's changed a bit, the testing, at least here in Washington, but back in the day, 08, you'd go and sit and do your written, breathe, and then go after your break, and then walk over and go do our clinical exam, right? All in one shot one day. And there were higher ups, women that were walking around looking at us, judging us. That's who I was there with. And then another one that did it for medication aid. And then another one, geez, that's why you're supposed to put this content out right away. I'm sorry, I've been just so tired. Anyway, varied field of nursing. And it comes to me, but they had it all down so pretty because I had to sign away my life before I even left here. Even they came to me. It was like, hey, we want you to come out there and fly. I was like, what? CNA? Like, so they had next to my name, Quinn, they had, I wish I had the book here, but we had to leave it there. Like, why'd you guys write it up and make it look so personal? Well, we have to walk away from it. I so bad wanted to sneak a picture. I probably could a couple times, but I'm pretty freaking honest. So, because they let me in alone in the room, being that I was the handicapped one, a few times for breaks, but I didn't. I just, whatever. But next to my name it started with CNA, and then it said PCT, Now, they're interchangeable, one and the same, but they're not really, okay? And then it said, this is kind of what got me, MAC, where's the dash, M-AC, MA-C, and then it said CMA. So it's cute. It's cute. I guess it's kind of like when a person is an RN and they put RN BSN or RN MSN or MSN RN. That's what it is first, right? Isn't it the higher and then you go down? I need to look. You know how I can look? Here's a little plug for Nurse Regina. Okay. MSN RN, BSN RN. I wonder if they do AD and RN. Now, what kind of trumps me is when they start off, to be an MSN, you got to be an RN. To be a BSN, you got to be an RN. So it seems a little redundant. But I guess, we like to put initials after our name. To be a PCT, not a PCA, but a PCT, patient care technician, you have to be a CNA. I think across the map. I think so. Okay. Certified nursing assistant, you got to be. You have to be the PCT. To be a medication aid or a certified medication aid, so the last one they put MAC and then CMA, I'm like, that's just the same thing. They just just to make my look. I think I'm the lowest education, noggin there, but my letters after my name were longer than anybody's. So funny, but whatever. They were sweet. And I was like, I like these people. Of course they know. I like these people. They were just wanted to, I've read that somewhere too. Some of the best teachers know who to stroke and who not to. Anyway, I was like, oh, this is funny. Let me laugh myself. To be a CNA, to be a MAC or CMA, you've got to be a CNA. Guess what? I found out a lot over there about medication aids in this country. And I was, it took me a couple hours into our day after housekeeping. And then when we jumped in, it took our whole table to figure out what the hell we were doing out there. Okay. Yeah, it took us a minute. So standard settings, I actually memorized this, but now it's gone. This is crazy, guys. Crazy. Standard settings are everywhere. Duh. Everywhere. It's a big deal. I was invited. That was the standard setting panel that we did a minute ago. That was not the job analysis panel, which there is a job analysis panel. And that was not the item writing and reviewing. There's that too. So it goes back to the three parts for either that the nurse, standard nurse. Okay, I'm gonna bring this up. Bear with me for a second, please. Oh my gosh. Just bear with me. I want to read it to you because it's super cool. And I should medication administration. Okay, I'm good. Let me talk a little bit about, bam, there we go. Standard settings are everywhere. Anything that has a very important testing or exam attached to it, like important, like high end, okay? There's a standard setting behind there. And I looked it up, like, what the heck is this? Because I was thoroughly, our first break, like, what the frick, even though he explained it, and I was like, all right, good. But I kept sort of popping off, mouthy, like, what about this? What about, and they're like, well, not really that. And then my neighbor lady was like, what? And I didn't feel bad because these were whole BSNs that were asking these questions. Coming to find out, NCLEX is such a huge, important examination, right? Career, life-changing examination. It's in the dumbest terms, it's safety test, but it's a safety test for a patient, for humans out there. That's huge. So it has to go through a laundry list of things before it gets out to the public and is used. It's changed once every 3 years. The biggest change was just recently. So they're changed a little bit, tweaked every 3 years, but the biggest one was implemented in 2023 when the next gen came out. That's a big deal, right? Completely changed. So anybody that's taken it from April 2023 moving forward, you're extra badass, okay? Now, NCLEX is one thing. You know what they use as a perfect example? The freaking bar. The bar, people. The bar has standard setting. The bar has job analyst. The bar has item review. The bar. Let's not get into the bar though, because I'm feeling a certain way about that. And okay. Should I tell you guys? Should I share it? Should I share? You want to know how I feel about the bar? I don't really feel much of anything. Lawyer. My daughter was thinking about being a lawyer, but just recently in Washington State, you can be a lawyer without taking the bar. Washington State. We're one of those tough states. How about that? It's legal. That's the way it is. It just changed a few months ago. Okay. So no more knocking California. It's legal to be a nurse without going to nursing school. What's that called? Is that an oxymoron? An oxymoron. You can be a nurse and not go to nursing school. I don't know. You can be a lawyer and not take the bar. ChatGPT said that's not actually a oxymoron, but I disagree. I guess I'm a walking oxymoron. You can be a stripper and never take off your clothes. Side. Okay, anyway. License examinations such as the bar exam are high stakes tests. A high stakes test is defined by the standards for educational and psychological testing. Latest used to provide results that have important direct consequences for individuals, programs, or institutions involved in the testing. All right. The process of establishing a passing score is commonly referred to as a standard setting. Standard setting in the licensure examination context is designed to address the basic policy question of how high an examinee's score must be for the examinee to pass the examination. Did you get it? There's this whole, I got a few of those I read. I was like, oh my gosh. Okay, I read that after. Basically, and he kept beating this in our heads. And, not beating it, but it was presented so many times. I just thought, my gosh, it seems like they are grooming us to have us answer these questions the way they want. Why are we even here? The deal is, it wasn't my job to think. First of all, it wasn't my job to think the way I was thinking. They brought me out to balance the panel of jurors. Just like in real jury, there's a nice selection, can't be all one type. So how they found the test scores, they found when I took it, they found my what's it called? My track history, my educational history. They just wanted, and that's why we were all so different, all in healthcare, all got along, kind of split into two cliques of 5 and 4, 3 or something like that. But vastly, when it was time to answer, like, whoa, finally, after the end of the second day, we started honing in, which is what he wanted, to have it one pathway, to have the window close. When the window was closed, they feel fine about that test and putting it out to the public. I signed my life away, but I literally could write up and sell online PDF of the MACE examination. The first thing we did after, well, not the first, I don't know, I've said that a few times now, is they presented the national MACE test to us. Oh, I'm like, we got to take this? You guys didn't say we had to take a test. It doesn't matter. This is not about getting the right answer. This is crazy. Oh my gosh. Taking this test is not about getting the right answer. Taking this test, folks, is about figuring out in your experience how many percentage-wise candidates would minimally get this right. I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, that's what it was. I'm going really far. This is 36. I get it. Oh, I don't even know how to quiet this down. How many what is the percentage of the minimal? It's a minimal passing score to get in and be safe. So that took a lot of twerking to our brains. It literally took a day. The second day came back, got a little bit. We had to take that MACE test. Oh my God. The same test, which by the way, I remembered because even though I've been a medication aide for a minute, I haven't been legal with a license. It's been a year now. But I remember that test. I remember it from last year. I remember so many of those questions, like, oh my goodness. And then the ones that got wrong or whatever, some of them I couldn't remember. Which one did I answer? I get it on luck. And then now I have it in my head. We had to take the same test over and over again because they wanted to close the gap and the psychoanalysts were behind us. And then if it was a really bad question, it's out. Making room for the item writers who get brought in whenever they get to write another question in its place, to make it more current, more better, succinct, or harder, or I don't know, but the really crappy ones are out the door. OTD. We don't get to write them. We just got feedback of, why doesn't it say this? That's kind of, and then they go, those are out. So we were the judges of the middle. Okay, what is the percentage? Here's a question, let me think. What is the percentage of aspiring medication aides that will get this question correct? One question, 4 different choices, okay? Just like the NCLEX and would be told, there's a couple that are freaking similar and you got to pick the most correct one. And there's one that's an obvious OTD. I like when there's 3 that are obvious out the door, just out the door. And you pick one. I want to think of one. That'll be another time. I'll think of one for you guys. If I think of something's okay. What is the percentage of candidate that will get this question right? How many milliliters is in an ounce? This is crazy. 1 teaspoon. B, 2 teaspoons. C, 3 teaspoons. Or 4, 30. What's the answer? You got to pick one. I don't know. I hope I got one of those right. Anyway, it's supposed to be there's 30 milliliters in an ounce, right? Okay. Something like that. I wish I was reading. I'm just going from but it wasn't all mathy. It wasn't math like that. That's just 2 of them. I really should have brought this up. You pick one, but then I'd say, but you got to be a CNA first. And he'd say, no, you just happen to come from one of those freaking hard states, Quinn. Jacked up hard states where you have to be, but there are a handful of states out there. Like they've been arguing with me on Reddit where you do not have to be a CNA first. It has to be the minimally efficient, kind of dumbfounded. I'm like, but they can't be that dumb because you've got to be able to pass through that class that you get. You can't pass the class, the test in the class, and go on and graduate, even nursing school, because people fail nursing school, right? The same thing CNA, and you got to take it again. You get past nursing school, then you pretty much need to be passing that test, or there's something wrong. I don't know, at least the second time. So he's like, oh, no, it's just gotta be the minimal. And that's really, it just got me, like, the minimally competent. Like, what, are we really short healthcare people that they have to stress this? But that's how it is even with the freaking bar exam. Minimally competent, aspiring, whatever the F they're taking the test for. That's what standard setting, to make it standard for whoever to pass, as long as they've got the nuts and grits. And then later there's different levels. That's all I can say about that. Okay, so we did that for 2 days straight. The food was fabulous. They fed us well. And I have talked enough. 40 minutes is too long. Hey, guys, thanks for watching if you watched this far. If you want more, I got more. I got you. If you want to subscribe, that'd be cool. If you don't. But I would like it. Have a fabulous day.